Knowing what you know, does he survive this?
Boy, I don't feel like I know enough to
Okay.
say, but my guess, Dan, is there's a gut feel is yes, he does. I think that, again, there's so many questions we still don't have answers to. Why did they keep him for 3 years, Zach Smith, on staff after this? Was it solely Urban's idea? Was Gene Smith involved in that decision? Was anybody else involved? With that information, I'd have a better sense, I guess, of where I think this panel could go with it. But just my gut feel, which isn't based on more than gut, is that, yes, he's still going to be the coach at Ohio State. Now, is there some disciplinary action? There could be. But I have a feeling he will still be coaching Ohio State.
How do you prove that you sent this up the corporate ladder here at Ohio State and you gave them all the information? You did everything you were supposed to do. If there are no emails or no text messages, how do you prove that or disprove that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a very good question. Other than obviously if Zach Smith says, and if Zach Smith is trustworthy, I don't know how trustworthy he was. I thought he did a pretty terrible job in his interviews, but I would imagine he didn't lie about being called off the road recruiting and sitting down with Gene Smith. Now, whether that's because Urban facilitated and said, hey, this is going on, Gene, you need to know, or not, that at least – so with the fact that there was that meeting, I think somewhat takes the onus off of Urban and says, okay, my boss was involved in this. But, again, there's a whole bunch more documentation and other things I would love for there to be available to figure this thing out.
I'm just surprised he kept. How good is Zach Smith? I know that there's this allegiance to Earl Bruce, but why are you keeping him on your staff?
That's a huge question in all this. I think there's one of three explanations, or maybe some combination of the three. Is A, yes, if there's just this absolute staunch loyalty to Earl Bruce that you're willing to put up with repeat headaches at Florida and at Ohio State. At the very least, the headaches. At worst, they're far worse than that. You're putting up with domestic assault. Two, there was the text message that Brett McMurphy reported about Zach Smith saying he could take down Ohio State, and whether that's empty threats or not, I don't know. And then three, the other thing here that I kind of wonder whether it's in play was Urban Meyer kind of swallowing his own mythology here and believing, I'm Urban Meyer. We don't make mistakes. We don't do the wrong thing. And if there's some of that shades of the Paterno era of our program is so pristine and so perfect that we don't have mistakes. And so we're just not going to acknowledge that there might have been a mistake here.
Anything else going on in college football, Pat?
Not a lot. I mean, this is completely taken over August so far. I mean, the one of the preseason top 25s came out, and I don't think anybody even noticed because everybody's waiting to see whether Urban Meyer's still going to be the coach of a top 5 team.
Are they a top 5 if he loses his job?
No. I mean, we're talking about, as I said, one of the most accomplished coaches and a very powerful figure. I don't think you throw this over to Ryan Day and say, okay, go win the Big Ten, especially when I think it's going to be a pretty darn competitive Big Ten this year. They're probably still the most talented team in the Big Ten, but I can't see them winning it being a top 5 team without Urban Meyer.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.